This is where it all happens, huh?
Very wonderful room to be in.
Trying to make this happen for a number of years.
I'm in the happiest place on earth.
This is pretty much what heaven looks like to me.
I'm here in Mecca.
Although if you didn't have anything to play these on, it would be almost heartbreaking.
I can take as many of these as I want.
A movie called Yi Yi that you have, that Edward Yang did, who was a movie about so much and yet about so little at the same time. It was a movie about nothing and a movie about everything. And when I finished watching that movie, first thing I did was call home and tell everybody that I love them.
Alan King collection. I'm Canadian, so I thought I should put a Canadian in there, and I wanted to just find a collection that matched my shirt perfectly. That's odd, actually.
Marlon Brando directed one movie, and it's staggeringly brilliant. I mean, you just can't even believe it. But I think it's a little cheap, because he fired Kubrick right before it started, so it was prepped by none other than Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, that's right.
Like me, saying, I'm going to work with P.T. Anderson, and then fire him the first day when it's all set up. Aaron, are you a genius?
Incredible, incredible, incredible movie. This, I have very few experiences in a theater that, oh
my God.
Yeah, it was a visual gut punch. The concept of treating CinemaScope in a kind of verite way, and just the hybrid element of Miguelin and his relationship with the Bulls and his relationship with fame. This movie is
him as an
so
actor
beautifully devastating.
Everything about this movie has been inspiring.
We have
in so many
this
ways.
though. We have this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to see this movie.
This is a crazy fucking movie.
I will never go out of my top 5 freakiest movies.
This is how much I like that movie.
This movie is like doing acid without having to do acid.
So you're okay when it's over?
It's amazing.
What's Make Way for Tomorrow?
The saddest movie you'll ever see.
No, thank you. I have enough. Life is hard enough.
This is an amazing film, which my father used to talk about this movie. Well, he used to talk about a movie, and he could never remember the title of it. So he used to say, because he knew I was into horror films, and he would say, oh, the scariest film I ever saw was this black and white film. It's a French film, and it's about a plastic surgeon who is taking the faces of car crash victims, and it's really gory, and it's really scary, and I cannot remember the title. So then cut to 5 years later, I see Eyes Without a Face, and I'm at art college, and I call my dad and I say, hey, I know the name of that film, the French film, it's called Eyes Without a Face. And my dad says, no, that's not it. I was like, that's definitely it. He goes, no.
Oh, this is the best date movie on earth. This is a great date movie.
I'll comment on this for sure, because I saw a weekend of Godard with my mother, and I was enraged by it, and I said, this is the most horrible thing that I've ever seen. I hate it. And over the course of maybe 2 days, it sank in on me. And I then decided that it was like my favorite movie that I'd ever seen in my life.
And it was prophetic.
And it was prophetic.
Yes, it was prophetic.
It was a great, great film, and it was a big shock to me that could happen.
Another great date movie, Antichrist. So good. This movie puts me and my wife in the mood.
Foundational. Talk about empathy, both in the film, but also just having empathy for the actors and what they're going through. Like, there's a film school in this box set. This is a bit overwhelming. There's just too much good shit here.
The Before trilogy. Oh, I don't remember that one.
Oh, you probably have some copies of that, don't you? But
Definite
come on,
winner. For those
that's.
thinking of buying something, maybe you might want to take that.
Would you like to say something about the front of it and the back of it, or both sides? Do you have a favorite side of it?
You know what? Staggering genius works whatever way you show it.
Oh, so even like here? Like
No.
I think I probably would have watched it sooner if it had kept its Japanese title of Spiderweb Castle. Throne of Blood is a good title. Spiderweb Castle is an excellent title. If Kurosawa had stuck with Spiderweb Castle, it would have been the first Kurosawa film I watched.
I had a very interesting experience with Antonioni. And strangely enough, Antonioni was at the next table and sitting all by himself. Everybody had left him, either because he only spoke Italian or French. And I went and sat next to him and said, introduced myself, and I said, "This must be an amazing night for you." And he said, "Oh, no, I hate it tonight." I said, "Why?" He said, "There are 14 frames in the film that I can't stand. And every time I see the film, it breaks my heart that I can't do those over again."
That's the tragedy of film.
So George Washington is the second Criterion I ever owned, which pretty much is just because I was in film school making shorts about young black people. And I remember, not realizing David Gordon Green was a white dude when I first saw the film. And I remember looking at the supplements on this and realizing, oh, David Gordon Green's a white dude. And there's actually a featurette on this where there's like a deleted scene of all these people sitting around in a circle having a conversation. And in my first film, Medicine for Melancholy, we actually replicated that scene where people are sitting around in a circle.
The reason I like Criterion is that even if it's a bad movie, you usually get a good running commentary and all the making of stuff and so on. And sometimes, I must say, I enjoy this additional stuff more than movie itself. For example, Werner Herzog, Fitzgeraldo. I think it's a pretentious fake. The other one, similar movie, Aguirre, The Wrath of Gods, is much better. But there is, I think the title is The Burden of Dreams, a documentary on the making of Fitzgeraldo. I think it's much better than the movie itself. So that's why I like Criterion.
Oh, what do I see? What do I see? Bad timing. That is going to be stuck in the bag right away. Bad Timing, one of my favorite films ever.
You know, and that is to say, I'm looking for films that will get me to make more films, that will inspire me to keep going.
I'm friends with Gary Rydstrom, who is the sound designer on this, and he talked to me a lot about how Paul Thomas Anderson talked to him about this idea that there were kind of like aliens observing everything going on in the story from kind of outside the frame line. And it's nothing that's implicit in the film, but when you watch the film, there's kind of all this kind of odd stuff with lens flares creeping into the frame. And if I remember correctly, he had Gary do kind of sound design that was specific to that notion. And again, it has nothing to do with the film, but I love hearing things like that where the filmmakers are kind of thinking about ideas and expressing ideas that are kind of outside the bounds of the film itself.
I don't particularly like to talk about films. That's honestly the truth.